The At Your End Step podcast is brought to you by ComicTown. Check them out at www.comictown.net and search for ComicTown Gaming Center on Facebook. Hello, and welcome to At Your End Step. My name is Morgan, and I'm here with Dave.
Hey, guys.
And Mike.
Hello.
And we have a wonderful special guest, guys. The one and only Cedric Phillips.
The is a bit strong, I think.
Well, you know, we're excited. So yeah, thank you so much for being a part of our show tonight. We super appreciate it. We know that you live quite a ways way away, a couple time zones. So we appreciate you working us into your schedule, especially before the Invitational. So it's great for you to be here.
Oh, it's no problem. I just got back from the gym. My trainer just kicked my. There's a swear word for that, but we're a clean podcast. For the past hour, and I've had my post-workout meal, shower, and now I'm here recording this podcast, and I'll be recording my own, and then getting some work done. So just a normal Tuesday.
Fair enough. Busy man, as we've commented on. So,
well, let's see. We have a list of commentating on the Open Series, online content coordinator, host of Said Talks. What else?
Part-time Magic player?
Now, how often do you actually get to play Magic these days?
Oh my gosh. I like to say it's around 5 or 6 times a year. Like I just got to play in Grand Prix Cleveland 2 weeks ago. Maybe was that 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And that was an absolute blast. And I don't think I've played another. No, I definitely haven't played another tournament this year. So it's typically like in between 4 to 6 tournaments a year, as opposed to like, I don't know, 40 tournaments and 7 hours a day of Magic Online, like I was doing in my mid-20s.
Well, I'm glad you're still able to get out and stuff like that. So I know that the only thing we really did over the weekend, and that was only Mike and me, is we just played pre-releases, which is always a good time.
I like pre-releases, but it's just this weird change in my life. So when I was in my mid-20s, all I did was play Magic. Like I attended. I mean, I was enrolled in college, but I didn't go to class. All I did was play just Magic Online nonstop, in between 6 to 10 hours a day. And maybe I'd booster draft with my friends in real life, and then every weekend I would go to a PTQ or a Grand Prix or something. So when people ask me what I studied at college, I tell them hospitality and tourism management, but it's actually I just studied Magic because that's all I did. And now, there's pre-releases and all this stuff, and now it's because my schedule is so crazy with doing the Open Series and stuff, when a pre-release comes around, I'm always like, man, I really want to go play in that. And then I'm like, ooh, that's a weekend off of work. I'm not doing anything. So I just sit at home all weekend.
Yeah, I can't imagine you even really having the time to kind of break away from doing what you do and being so busy. So, again, we're happy to have you on the show. Typically, we discuss community topics, and then we'll go into competitive. But since you're on here, we have a little bit of different spin on the show. But we still will be talking about the community. Some important things did happen, and we definitely want to touch on them. So let's go ahead and move to the community segment. The first note that we kind of want to touch on is sort of a somber one. Yesterday, when we're recording this, we actually lost someone very important in the Magic community. Whether you really knew him or not, you kind of, if you ever read Daily MTG, you were seeing sort of what was going on filtered through him. Mike McCarter, who is the copy editor for Daily MTG, passed away very suddenly yesterday, and he was definitely a large influence in the Magic community, and his passing was felt by a ton of people. No matter who you follow on Twitter or on Facebook, they were talking about this, and like I said, you knew him even if you really didn't, because of the great articles and the great things that he helped put up on Daily MTG. So we really just want to note on that and, give our regards and best wishes to anyone affected by his loss.
Completely understandable. Didn't know him personally,
Right.
but it clearly affected a lot of people. And you never want to see anything like this happen. I mean, I work with a copy editor myself with Star City, and I can only imagine if something like this were to happen to him, the emotions that I would feel, because we're becoming pretty good friends now. His name's Danny West. He writes for the website as well and used to work on the Open Series as a buyer. So while I cannot directly relate to what the people at Wizards of the Coast are currently going through, I definitely can empathize, and sincerest best wishes from me headed that way.
Mm-hmm. And they're going on a little bit of a silence on the website, just having people's memories of him and everything like that. And I think that's a very classy move, and most certainly appreciated from the community and obviously anyone who's affected. So I just want to say just thank you for giving us daily MTG and helping put that website up. It's something that I go to on a daily basis, and your absence will certainly be missed. To move on to something a little bit less sad, we do have some interesting judge promos that were also announced over the weekend, just yesterday, right? Not over the weekend.
I think it was just yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday, including some knockouts like Damnation and Wasteland, along with Ravages of War too, which is I know a pretty hard one to find these days. And then we also have Feldon of the Third Path, Dualcaster Mage as being the new promos. So if you're a judge, sweet. I guess you get these, which is pretty awesome. I won't ever have them. I will never own them. They are far too expensive for me. I own a real Damnation. Does that count? Probably not.
So are you excited about any of these, Cedric? You cube randomly whenever you get any downtime?
Occasionally I do cube with a little downtime that I do have. I actually held a cube draft at my apartment on Friday. So that was a lot of fun.
Hey, we did too.
Not at his apartment.
No, in my apartment, on my house.
My excitement is kind of tempered about these because they don't affect me personally. Obviously they're all super cool. The Damnation, the Dualcaster Mage, the Ravages of War, Felder the Third Path, which it's my job to know all the Magic cards, and I've never seen that one before.
He has a cane. That's what I understand.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So when I saw that was a judge promo, I was like, this is weird. I don't know what this card does, and I know what every card does. So that was kind of cool. And then of course the real moneymaker is the Wasteland.
Yeah.
They're all cool though.
It's like you have another new art to get used to when you're commentating.
Right. You're just like, oh, what's that? I don't know. Yeah. I just used it to destroy a land. Okay, I guess that's Wasteland. Or he's cheating. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Those are words that will never come out of my mouth.
Oh, I know.
I don't know. Those words will never come out of my mouth.
Cedric, we know you're a true professional.
Yes, correct.
We appreciate that you're a true professional.
In all honesty.
Absolutely, yeah.
Most of the content that we have on this podcast is comparing you guys to other people, and it's...
We've criticized a fair amount, but there's always well, couldn't you just be like you guys? Yeah.
It is appreciated. I will say that.
Yeah. I mean that's it for the community. I'm going to actually hand it over to Dave and Mike here, and we're going to move into a bit of an interview portion because we know our listeners are really excited to have you on and want to know more about you. So, Dave, Mike, take it away.
All right, Cedric, we're going to start you off with the real hard-hitting questions here.
Well, here they come.
So we're going to start off with a little bit of basketball. All right, so
tough.
Yeah. So Kentucky or no in your bracket?
Kentucky, please.
Okay.
Oh, come on. Was it Shane Battier today was all about West Virginia is going to take him down. I don't know.
So here's the thing. Because I actually haven't watched much college basketball, and I don't watch much college basketball. But I always I'm running a bracket to give away a Tarmogoyf, and it's just it's just something that sweeps the nation. And I turn on the games in the first couple of rounds too. But my thing was with the whole thing. It's pretty easy to pick Kentucky, but if you're not going to pick Kentucky, it's who do you pick? Because if you take the gambit of I'm not going to take Kentucky, I'm going to pick someone else. You're literally just picking out of a hat at random who the other team you think is going to win, which is actually way harder than picking Kentucky.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm with you. I haven't actually watched a lot of college basketball this year, but I definitely tune in for the tournament. I actually didn't do a bracket this year, so it was kind of sad, and that might be un-American to say. But
I did, and I'm getting destroyed in your bracket, Cedric, so not going to be winning the Tarmogoyfs over here.
Very nice. It's just picking. I don't even know if the college experts or whatever, the analysts who do this thing. It's just okay, Kentucky is far and away the best team. If I went to the analysts, I'd say, hey, pick the second best team in the country. I don't think they could do that. I actually don't think they could do that. So tell me who's the second best team if Kentucky loses. They just, I don't know. Like with Villanova, they're out of the tournament. Duke, maybe. I don't know. It'd be impossible for them to pick who the second best team is. So it's gotten to the point where it's almost foolish not to pick Kentucky because you can't even whittle away or like narrow down who the second best team is in case Kentucky loses.
Right. Yeah. Completely agree with that. You want to take the next one, Mike?
All right. Well, I guess we're going to follow up on this, this fun basketball stuff here. So, I think this is your question, Dave. But
you can ask it. That's fine.
all right. So, on the spot, thinking basketball, you have to create a 5-person team of all pro players in Magic. So, who are they? Who's your starting five? Who's your starting five?
Playing basketball?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. 5 players to play basketball. Okay. Shahar Shenhar, who is secretly really good. Patrick Sullivan, who's a good shooter. Patrick Chapin, who is good at basketball. I don't know if Huey's good, but Huey's super tall. So, like, by default, you probably have to pick him. So what happens sometimes at GPs and stuff is there are pickup basketball games that take place. And so now I'm trying to remember the stories that P. Sully has told me about players who are good. Shahar is really good, apparently. Chapin is good. I know P. Sully is good. I think that Huey would be good. And then, like, he doesn't play as much anymore, but Tim Landale's good at basketball.
All right.
He doesn't play as much. He doesn't play as much Magic anymore, and it's kind of weird because like some people might not even know who that is, which is weird to say that Tim is old school because he's like 24 or something.
I know who
But
he is.
I think, yeah, I think I would go with Tim. I'm actually kind of cheating and looking at my Facebook list right now, and it's like I'm coming across names like Ari Lax and Drew Levin, and it's like, yeah, not those guys.
All right, and who's the sixth man then? Who's the sixth man? Who's important at all?
Who's coming off the bench for the?
Ooh, first guy off the bench. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of Facebook cheating here. I'm gonna scroll. I'm gonna scroll through my newsfeed really quick and see if just someone jumps out to me. Sam Black. What do you guys think? Probably not.
He's never come off as the athletic type to me. I don't know.
I don't. There's got to be someone else. I'm pretty sure. So Ben Stark always plays in the pickup games, and I think he's good, and he watched a lot of basketball. So I think I would throw him in there, maybe a sixth man.
All right.
Okay. All right.
I don't think this team's beating anybody, but it sounds fun.
I just assumed
this team's not beating anyone.
I assumed Huey was the free space. That was just like the auto in.
Well, I mean, he can play center.
Yeah.
I actually like. It wouldn't surprise me if he was good at basketball, but there's nothing that's jogging my memory that says that Huey is like played or is good.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right, so we're going to move a little bit into
What the podcast is actually about, Magic, apparently.
yeah, we're going to move into some actual Magic talk here. So the next kind of set of questions I have here are just basically on covering the Open Series. So a few years ago, you actually you wrote an article about the state of Magic coverage and compared it to League of Legends. And I feel like since then you've really brought a level of professionalism, and you've done a lot to improve the quality of the SCG and occasional GP broadcasts. What are your thoughts on the state of Magic coverage today, and are you happy with where we are?
Happy, yes. Satisfied, no. I think we have made great leaps and bounds as a community with our Magic coverage, which obviously pleases me greatly. But the biggest qualm I have, for lack of a better term, is that there are no sponsors for Magic at this point. And that's really frustrating for me. And it's something that I'm trying to work towards with the Star City coverage, and it's something that I hope WotC is trying to work for with their coverage. But it seems like it's a huge, I guess leak is the word I want to use for lack of a better term yet again. Just sponsors bring legitimacy to what we're doing. And I don't know how much WotC understands that or how much the powers that be at Star City understand that. It's discussions that we've had internally Obviously, some of that I can't share with you guys, but there are just discussions where I am very passionate about the fact that sponsors are needed to make what we're doing more legitimate. I am clearly happy with the amount of viewership that we have, the increase in viewership. I'm not the kind of person who is looking for large gains in a short period of time. I'm not expecting the number of people in the top right-hand corner to say 100,000 at the beginning of next year, because that's just not realistic. If I keep doing what I'm doing, or if we keep doing what we're doing at a very high level, people will take notice. We will continue to increase that number monthly, yearly, every weekend, whatever number metric you want to go by. And that makes me happy because we've already seen positive leaps and bounds in the shows that we're doing. We've set records for Grand Prix. We've set Open Series records every year, and that's clearly proof that what we're doing is working. But I think what takes you into the next level of what you want to be doing is sponsorship. And that means, your Monster Energy drinks, your Red Bulls, your Coca-Colas, all that stuff for the world. We talked about basketball a little bit here, and if you ever watch a basketball game, you will see sponsorships everywhere, on the court, on the back of the hoops, on the poles that hold up the hoops, on the scoreboards. It's everywhere. Everything's the NBA is on Sunday on ABC is brought to you by Blibbity Bloppity Blue, and those things bring legitimacy to the broadcast, and vice versa. It's definitely a partnership. The sponsor is bringing legitimacy to the NBA product. The NBA is bringing legitimacy to the sponsor. And that is, in my opinion, where we get to real money being made for people who are working on the inside of Magic like myself, but also for the players who come to Magic tournaments. The Open Series increased the prize payout to, $5,000 for first place, which is awesome. I think a lot of people have been really, really happy with that, and, just the prizes going down to where they are. That's great, and I'm super thrilled about that. And, Grand Prix have moved up a little bit, and I don't think Pro Tours have changed how they pay out much in a little while. Maybe they've reallocated some money to different places and stuff like that, but it hasn't really changed for the most part. But, the way that you're going to get more money into these tournaments, which is a driving factor for people who want to come to play. Yes, people come to play Magic tournaments because they love Magic, but a way that also gets people to come to play is saying, hey, first place is $100,000. Or, first place in the Open Series is $10,000. That's going to make me want to go play. I already like playing Magic, but that's going to make me want to go play. And the way that you do that, at least in my opinion, and from what I've researched, is you get sponsors who are going to say, you guys get 50,000 viewers on your broadcast. We want to have our logo in front of that. We want to have our logo on your playmat or on your overlay for the duration of your broadcast with no competition elsewhere. And we will give you X amount of dollars, and you can do whatever the heck you want to do with that X amount of dollars, which is maybe pump it into the prize fund. And that's how I believe that you get more money into these sort of things and bring more legitimacy. Because if a random person turns on a Magic tournament and they see Ultra Pro as the sponsor of a Magic tournament, what does that mean to a random person?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, zero.
Nothing. And I have no problem with Ultra Pro. Ultra Pro just sponsored a team today.
Yeah, we
they
saw
made
that.
an announcement. Ultra Pro is, we've been using Ultra Pro sleeves forever. But if a random person, or like my mom and dad, if I'm playing Magic tournament, turn it on, and I say, all right, everybody, this is the Open Series, brought to you in part by Ultra Pro, that doesn't mean anything. Now, if I say that the Open Series is brought to you by Monster Energy drink, or brought to you by Red Bull, or brought to you by Coca-Cola, immediately they're going to go, well, I don't know a lot about Magic, but they must be doing something right if these sponsors are sponsoring what they're doing. And then it brings the legitimacy to the product, which is all I've ever wanted in the first place, and which is why I got into commentary and why I'm so passionate about it, is because all I want is, at the end of the day, all I want for Magic is for people to be able to say, hey, I'm going to a Magic tournament this weekend, and for the person you're telling to be like, nerd, or whatever, whatever preconceived notion they have of what Magic is. Because now if you tell someone you're going to a League of Legends tournament or a StarCraft tournament, whatever, everyone's like, dude, awesome, good luck. Because they've made it. League of Legends is a legitimate thing. Coca-Cola spent the most money last year for their advertising with League of Legends, which, if you think about that for a moment, and the things that Coca-Cola is with,
yeah, that's crazy.
That's complete lunacy.
I mean, even
that the most money they
something,
spent was with them.
even something like Hearthstone. Hearthstone is starting to have a sort of a meteoric rise, and I can't imagine any sort of advertisers staying away from that. But I mean, Blizzard's just huge anyway, so they have that kind of powering them. But I mean, there's no reason that Wizards or any other large company couldn't try to do this with Magic. So I think that's a hugely valid point, that advertising and getting sponsors like that is, I mean, that's something that no one seems to be kind of cluing in on yet, but it's huge, especially with things like Twitch. I mean, leveraging that and leveraging like always being able to watch something Magic related with like things like Magic Online, like it's something that really needs to happen. I completely agree.
And fortunately for Magic, we're already in the right medium. I was having a conversation with Paul Rietzel. I posted on like a status that Matt Sperling posted about like, Magic coverage and, what direction the game's going and all this stuff. And, I have some pretty strong opinions and I've done a lot of research about it because, it's my job or whatever.
Right.
So I should probably be pretty informed about this. And, Paul was just like, well, in order for Magic to really get moving, we probably have to get back to being on, national television, all this stuff. And I cut him off before he even finished his sentence. And it's like, I respect Paul a great deal. He's an incredibly smart guy. And he's obviously a Hall of Fame Magic player. And I was just like, Paul, that's like the most uninformed thing you've ever said. And he's just like, what do you mean? I'm just like, national television? Why would we want to be on national television? Think about what people are doing right now as far as what national television is doing and how you consume television. I don't know about you, but I have a Netflix account.
Yeah. I have a Hulu account.
I have a DVR.
I have a Hulu account. I have an HBO Go account.
Yeah.
I watch Magic. I watch Magic on Twitch. What the hell do I need cable television for?
Yeah.
It's all compartmentalized now, and if you can be the best in your compartment, then that's probably better than ever being back on ESPN2.
Yeah.
Or MTV, if we remember that.
Yeah. Don't remind me of that.
The Hammer.
Paul is just like, we need to, if we want to be big time, we got to move towards being on national television. I'm like, that's not even close to true. We're already on the perfect medium. And sure, maybe there will be improvements to Twitch at some point, or maybe something else will come along. But, streaming is where we're going to go. Everyone has a computer. You can stream anything from your phone, obviously. Facebook is all that we sit on every day with the little Facebook clips and all that stuff. So, I mean, you don't need to be on cable television. We've already got the medium down. Now it's just taking advantage of it. And the fact that the medium is relatively cheap to stream on and go from there. Mm-hmm. And, I don't know if, the powers that be who work at WotC or other places are just like, yeah, we need to move on to, if we want to be big, we need to move towards being on cable television, because it's absolutely not true. Given the trends that have happened with cable television and how less and less people are buying cable television, Comcast is literally trying to throw cable television subscriptions to people now. And they won't buy them because it's like Hulu Plus is like, I don't know, $7. Right. Netflix is like $7. And if you get like those four things, it's like, well, that's how much cable costs. And having, I don't know, 500 channels is cool, but I use 12 of them. So I don't need that many.
Also, Comcast, who wants that anyway?
Well,
we don't need to go down that rabbit hole.
No choice.
That's true. Yeah, that's terrible.
I remember playing a board game as a kid that said that was wrong.
Yeah, something like Opoly, something. I don't know. I have no idea.
So I guess we'll follow up with that question. So we ourselves have done some local commentary for the store that we do with, and they've actually worked on sponsorship as well. Like their pre-releases were sponsored by Mountain Dew Kickstart, which I thought was a really interesting step. But one thing we saw, okay, I'm going to go specific example here. That terrible green-white devotion matchup that was on camera a couple weeks ago. You and Patrick Sullivan were able to just keep talking, and do you guys practice this? What do you guys do to keep yourself talking in that section? Because it seems to me there's a lot of moments where I would just be like, all right, I'm done talking here. There's nothing more to say. And you guys, not just talking, but you actually keep it interesting. I don't turn off my TV despite the thing that's being on Twitch right now being one of the most miserable things I've ever seen in my life. So do you guys practice this? What do you do?
Well, I practice a lot, and I know Patrick does as well. As far as I rewatch matches during the week. And figure out ways that I can commentate on them better and make them more entertaining and make it so that you don't want to change the channel or go do something else. But in situations like that, honestly, those are the easiest matches to cast, which would probably surprise you. Because
you're shocked.
It actually so Patrick and I can just talk because we're really good friends. So we can just talk about anything, honestly. And, as far as role assessment is concerned, I'm play-by-play. Patrick is color commentary. You'll notice that Patrick is the one who's telling most of the jokes, saying the interesting things, has the memorable statements during coverage that people laugh at. And remember, I kind of set him up, and then I just kind of let him do his own thing. I call it poking the bear at times.
I should have got him then.
Yeah. So in situations like the green-white devotion mirror, where the board gets cluttered,
That's a word.
yeah, that's a word we can use, cluttered a little bit, and you're having this game break out where neither player can really attack, both players are activating mastery of the unseen. At some point, it's like, okay, we're actually doing a disservice to the people watching at home who to try to keep up with the game state, because it's basically impossible, and you don't want to ever say anything that's incorrect. Because there might be a card that's kind of scrunched off screen, because there's a limited amount of space, and so when someone activates a Nykthos, it's like incorrect to speculate on like, oh yeah, it's definitely for 24 mana. It's like, actually it's for 32 mana. Yeah, I'm positive it's 24. Actually, it's 32. You missed this. It's like, okay, I'm an idiot. So at some point, it just gets to the point where it's like, okay, there's a bunch of stuff that's happening on the screen. It's pretty hard to keep up with for us, so we'd be doing a disservice to tell you guys what's going on. It's a disservice, like it's difficult for you to know what's going on as a viewer, and eventually we'll kind of recap the board state on what's going on. And I know you guys are talking about the Sam versus Michael Majors match.
Yes.
And the both players are about 400 life, and it's like, well, there's just a bunch of crap happening, and if something happens that matters, we'll certainly let you guys know, but in the meantime, we can kind of entertain you with, like, our personalities about what's going on to make you want to stay. I basically adopted that I watch a ton of sports, mostly professional basketball, but, I've watched NFL my entire life. I've watched baseball my entire life, and, you'll watch a game where, I don't know, an NFL game where someone's just getting their ass kicked. And what are they going to do? Be like, all right,
I'm a
third
Browns
down.
fan. I understand.
Yeah, it happens a lot to us then. What are they going to say? The Browns are down by 30, and they're going to say, okay, well, they need to really, on second down, they need to do this thing. It's like, no. They're going to talk about...
It's like, who we drafted next year?
Yeah, they're going to talk about other stuff that's going on, like maybe across the league or within the franchises that are on the television, or, God knows what, because the game is essentially over. Stranger things have happened. We've seen comebacks in sports and comebacks in Magic games that kind of blow the mind. But at that point, it's the person's job who's in the booth to just kind of entertain the viewers at home. And fortunately, Patrick can kind of riff off about anything or just make fun of me. People seem to enjoy that. So,
whatever works.
It's actually not that tough in situations like that where it really just kind of spirals out of control. And it's like, well, our hands are kind of tied. I think everybody at home knows that, so let's just talk about some stuff.
That makes sense.
All right, so I have a question for you here. So who is your favorite player to watch in the Open Series? Or, like, favorite player to cover?
That is tough.
I know who mine is, but...
You have to pick favorites. Pick your children. Who's your favorite, Cedric?
Only one?
Only one.
All right, I think I have 3 in my head right now. Jeez.
We can go with top 3.
Oh, you guys are so nice. Thank you. All right, so man, it's tough to. I don't want to say number 1.
Oh no, you have to rank them. We gave you 3. You have to rank them.
I have to rank them. All right, number 1 is probably Tom Ross.
That's what I would have picked.
And I think it was, like, last year, I've known Tom for a while, and Tom has always been, like, a good Magic player. And, like, last year he ascended into being a great Magic player at some point. Now, maybe it was just because, like, he knew his decks, his takes on Boss Fly, and, in fact, like, way better than anyone else did. But Tom created so many moments during the Open Series last year, and there were so many times where I was watching, and he was playing against someone who was of medium to above average skill, and it's just I'm sitting there with Patrick the entire time, and I'm just thinking to myself, this guy's got no shot.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
I think that the thing that sticks out to me with him, and I totally agree, I feel like he really just went to another level, was like the Invitational that he won where he just like sliced right through the top 8, like it wasn't even close.
Yeah, the Season 2 Invitational in Columbus last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was just a joke.
And we've watched him play, not even Invitationals, which he won 2 of last year, which is insane in and of itself. But, there were just some matches. I remember watching a match. He was playing against Peter Tragos, a player from Chicago who's pretty good. He's got some Open Series top 8s. He's pretty young, still working his way up through Magic's ranks. And I'm watching Tom play him, and I'm just thinking, like, Peter, he plays his Sultai Delver deck pretty straightforward and pretty well, not like a lot of flash and flares game, and Tom is going to absolutely annihilate this guy, and it's going to take the world for Peter to win if Tom has like a pretty good draw of his Infect deck. And one game, Tom ends up just hooking him into casting a bunch of spells, and then after the entire stack resolves, Tom magically has 6 cards in his graveyard for his Become Immense to be exactly 10 points of Infect.
Jeez.
And it's just like, oh, yeah, I got you to cast this, and then I countered it, and then you countered back, and then I countered back, and then you did something, and I cast Become Immense with 6 cards in the graveyard when you were, 2 Infect. This makes it exactly 10. You have no cards in your hand that you can cast, and I'm empty-handed. This is perfect. And I'm just like, wow, that's unbelievable to me that happened. And all Peter can do is sit there and kind of shrug his shoulders, smile, and just go like, yep, you're better than me. You won.
Yeah, Tom Ross, I'm a fan. He plays Infect in formats that it's legal in, and I appreciate that. So,
All right.
And the other thing, really quick on Tom that I love is, and this is something I love about Magic too, is just when you sit across from Tom, you know what he's playing.
it doesn't matter.
Either format, and it doesn't matter, which is just completely insane. It's like, yeah, I'm playing red and I'm playing Infect, and you can't beat me. That's the aspect I love about it the most, is just like he could just put his deck, like he could shuffle face up and be like, here's what I have, it doesn't matter, you're not going to be able to beat me because I don't screw up, and then like for the most part, that's what happens. So he's number 1. Number 2 is Reed Duke.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm a fan of Reed Duke myself.
Like, there's no real flash and flare to what Reed does. It's just that when I know I'm watching him play, he's just playing like top-level Magic the entire time, and it's the opportunity for me when I'm watching to mostly learn, like, from what's going on. A lot of the time when I'm doing coverage, Patrick and I, we have our own resumes. We're accomplished Magic players who don't play anymore, and so for the most part, when we're commentating, we'll maybe take the approach of, I would have done this in this spot for these reasons. But when we're watching Reed, that doesn't happen, because it's like, this is the opportunity. This is arguably the best player in the world. However you want to rank him, Owen, Huey,
Right.
Yuya, whatever. I'm watching what is arguably one of the best players in the world, and it's like, well, this is not a situation where I'm going to get the opportunity to say I would have done this instead of this, because if Reed is doing this, it is probably right, or he has inferred some sort of information from his opponent to believe that that is the right play. So that's when it gets fun for me, because, I think of the Season 3 Invitational Finals where Reed was playing against Tom, and it's like, this is the easiest match in the world to call. I'm just going to watch 2 of the best players, or maybe the 2 best players in the tournament, just do battle.
Yeah, that's always fun.
I mean, in that hair.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, the hair.
The hair.
Boy,
So-
those looks, I tell you.
Some guys have all the luck, man.
I do have some experience play against Reed Duke. I'm from the Boston area, so I grew up in the Northeast, and so I definitely battled Reed Duke, multiple times in PTQs and things like that. And this is like before he was, Reed Duke now.
No, he
And
was
I
still
just,
Reed
like-
Duke.
Well, his name was still Reed Duke, but even back then, this is like probably before he ever qualified for a Pro Tour. It's like I could never beat him, like ever. I'm just like, man, I don't even know who this guy is. He's just like demolishing me every time. But
He's only gotten better. What's your excuse?
yeah, I've fallen off from that. Yeah, but
All right, number 3.
Brad Nelson.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And the reason for that is different than the other 2 guys. The reason I like watching Brad play is table presence more than anything. Brad is actually big on table presence and picking up information from other players. Obviously he's a standard metagame master. I think we all know that at this point, and a fantastic deck builder.
Do you happen to know
but
what
when
he's playing for the Invitational? Could you? You can tell us off air. It's fine. It's fine.
I actually don't know. I actually kind of seal myself off from that information.
Fair enough.
Like, I could ask him and he would tell me, but I actually seal myself off from that information so I can be surprised on what he's up to.
Yeah, you can't blame a guy for asking.
And so we can't bribe you with all this money we're sitting down on the table.
We
Don't know.
Yeah, we can maybe talk about it off air. We can maybe work out a deal. But Brad is a big table presence guy, and when I was playing Magic, I was a big table presence guy, so I can appreciate that. A lot of his plays are based off of kind of table presence, table dominance, and exerting himself over his opponent, and it has nothing to do with actually the cards that he's playing, but more of like his presence at the table, being a big personality, establishing dominance with like his gestures, the language he uses, and all of that stuff. So I mentioned Tom and Reed as the other two guys. What makes Magic great is that those three guys are fantastic Magic players, and they all play Magic differently, based off of what their opponents are doing, what they think they're up to, how they play the game, and everything. I don't find Reed to be a big table dominance guy. He's just kind of ABC Magic, but he plays it basically perfectly, or as close to perfect as you can all the time. Tom has a lot of flash and flare to his game, where he'll make some bluff attacks and attack without a pump spell and, kind of get some reads on some weird situations. And then Brad just tries to exert his dominance over you at the table because, when you're playing against Brad, what he wants to imply is you're playing against Brad F. Nelson right now. That's what he does. And it clearly works for him given his resume.
And it makes total sense. Just having played either against them and around them a number of times, they do all have just sitting there, you feel differently about all of them, and yet they're probably all three going to beat you. So it's kind of an interesting dichotomy there. So I guess moving on here with some other questions here. Then I guess if you could pick, again, I know we're asking you this picking one thing here, and you've got a lot of experiences, but favorite or best moment from the open series, something you remember as distinctly wow, this happened, or shocked, speechless, or something that happened that's the moment you remember.
Grand Prix New Jersey, quarterfinals, Tom Ross against, I want to find his name because he was having a good tournament.
I think it was against with this one.
It was a Grand Prix. It was the Landstill guy.
Yeah,
and I don't have his name.
Yeah, no.
I will do him justice if my internet works. Come on, Wizard sites. I am at the page. The top eights. His name.
How'd you find it so quick?
That's good. Yeah. Lamb Fan.
Okay.
Tom Ross against Lamb Fan. Tom, of course, playing Infinity. Lamb playing Blue-Red Standstill with main deck Sudden Shocks, which makes the matchup tough for the Infect deck. I remember, for those who haven't watched this game, you should definitely take the opportunity to go back and watch it. But basically what happened is Tom shifted from the Infect plan to the Damage plan. And I'm calling the match with Matthias, and Matthias is like, well, Tom could consider just dealing 21 points of damage. Maybe I said that. We were kind of saying it in jest. Yeah, okay, I know he has two Noble Hierarchs in play, but that seems unlikely. Lamb goes down to 16, keeps drawing lands. Tom is still attacking with Noble Hierarchs, and all of a sudden it's okay, well, Lamb's down to 8. And it's what is happening here? And then Tom kills him with regular damage 2 turns later or something with Become Immense or some combination of spells to kill him, and the Lamb is just all right, I just drew lands in the mid to late game or irrelevant spells, so you win, and I'm just sitting there, and Tom has won back-to-back invitationals to this point. He's top 8 of the Grand Prix, which means he's going to get back on the Pro Tour. And it's this matchup, if you just look, on paper, cards to cards, the guy has Sudden Shock in his deck. What are we even talking about? He's got, Bolts, Sudden Shocks, Standstills. This is pretty bad. And Lamb Fan is a renowned Legacy player who's really good, and he's top-8 with a very unorthodox Blue-Red Standstill deck, which already implies that he's got some skill, and this isn't just some random guy. And Tom just dealt him 21 with regular damage, and it's just this has already been 2014 was kind of the year of Tom Ross. It was the year of a couple of people, but it was already kind of the year of Tom Ross, and it's all right, this just solidified it. This guy's unbeatable. Just don't even bother showing up to the table because he can beat you any way he wants to, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. And it was just insane to watch, where it went from kind of yeah, sure, maybe he deals 21 to, oh my god, he's going to deal 21.
He's going to do it.
Plan B in Infect is always very exciting.
I remember we have our show chat for this, and I remember Dave messaging about that, so this is happening. Oh, this is actually happening.
Yeah, I was definitely watching it live. I was just oh my god, I can't even believe it. I believe he even had to Nature's Claim something at one point, too.
Yeah, Nature's Claim something of Lambs to give him 4 life.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh,
easily the best moment.
All right, that's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good one.
That's fine. I accept.
All right, Dave, you got the next one here?
Sure. So I just have some more like kind of just general questions now at this point.
Go for it.
So you used to stream pretty regularly, doing inside information. Is that something that you've ever thought about bringing back at any point, or is your schedule too busy at this point? Or
Am I busy? Yes. I will not stream because of the state of Magic Online.
Makes sense.
I've drawn a line in the sand where I'm not. I've been pretty vocal about my displeasure of where Magic Online is at. I basically find it borderline unacceptable. And if I'm streaming Magic Online, that's basically me being a hypocrite.
Okay.
And I'm not a big fan of doing that. So I genuinely miss streaming. It was a lot of fun. I love making a fool out of myself and just having fun playing Magic in front of people. But I think it's just poor form to, like, I guess, endorse something that I don't believe in. And I do not believe in Magic Online as a product at all because it's so bad that I just won't associate myself with it for me to make like a couple bucks. I'd rather just do something else.
Do you hear that, Wizards? Maybe? No? Yeah, probably.
I certainly appreciate your stance on it. I do miss the music of Newfound Glory and Paramore coming through on your stream, though. I just know it's missed.
I understand. Many people do miss it. I genuinely miss doing it. I really do. But that product is so bad.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I just gotta say this. So one of my favorite like moments from ever watching like any stream was when you were playing at a sealed, I believe, or something. It was Return of Ravnica, and your opponent had like an Obzat in play, and you're just like, oh yeah, like I don't know how I'm ever gonna beat this. And he just like taps 5. You're like, oh, what does he have? Like another Obzat? You just like played it, and like your reaction was just unreal. Like it was just the best thing ever.
That was one of the few highlights I've made from my stream. Obviously, that part of the moment stands out to me too. Just me kind of being like, yeah, if he has another one, I could win, and then he plays another one, and then that happens or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's also what also made it really fun is because I was doing it. That was one of the few times when I had guests on my stream. Was Adam Prozac, and that was the legendary toughness draft where our deck was really bad, but all of our creatures had a lot of toughness. And so we're just like, our deck kind of sucks, but, it's a toughness draft. So if they're counting toughness, we always win. And then the opposite thing happens, which we both lost our minds, and we won the draft.
That's the best way to end that story.
Yeah, results. Who cares?
Or sealed or whatever it was. Like, we ended up winning it. Our deck was really bad, and the opposite thing happened. It made for a really fun day of streaming.
Yeah. Side note, I know I brought up Newfound Glory, but big fans of Magic, which blew my mind when I saw on Twitter. So I don't know if you know that or not, but yeah.
I didn't know they were. I knew. I found out a couple months ago the lead singer of Yellowcard, Ryan Key. He plays Magic. He was at an F&M in Florida at some point, I think. And I follow him on Twitter. It's funny, like, Magic is so much bigger than I think people give it credit for.
Yeah.
But again, it's just kind of this thing where it's like people don't really talk about the fact that they play. But, I mean, you guys play, obviously. It's the best game in the world. It's not even close. And every time we find out more people, it's like, yeah, Newfound Glory plays, and Ryan Key plays, and, there's some football players who play and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, because it's awesome.
Yeah. I love it when my pop-punk world collides with my Magic world, and it just blows my mind every time.
Morgan's a giant hipster, so...
I'm not a hipster, all right?
Can you say that honestly?
Yes, I can. I can.
Challenge.
Whatever. Moving
Look,
on.
if you're a hipster, I'm a hipster. We live in the same.
Me and Cedric will be hipsters together, and you guys can screw off.
Wow, that got violent all of a sudden.
This got aggressive fast.
All right, so we have a couple other questions here from with some listeners, and we had a friend of ours specifically who he watched you devotedly when you were streaming because he's only played Red Green Tron in Modern. It's the only deck he plays in Modern. He loves it. He never stops asking about Karn and his ability to care, and I wish I was kidding. He asks it all the time.
Yes.
So he wants to know, do you think the Red Green Tron is still viable? Don't break his heart.
So I'm a little out of touch with Modern because I haven't played Tron in a while, but it seems to me like it's kind of mediocre. Like, Tron is as good as the Thoughtseize decks are. If the Thoughtseize decks are good, Tron's good. If the Thoughtseized decks are bad, Tron's pretty bad. But at the same time, Tron also just has the ability to just, you can just nut draw someone for a tournament and win. You can just play a turn 3 idiot or turn 3 car in every game and win if your draws line up correctly. So in that regard, the deck is kind of nice. Some people, or a lot of people, see me getting laughably lucky with it when I'm streaming. So
I think
that part of it,
to it.
yeah, I mean, that part of it makes it really fun. But Twin is a really good deck. Tron just seems like if Twin is a really good deck and the opponent is good, your chances of winning are very low. Mostly because it's clearly very hard to interact with Twin. Like game 1, you're going to lose a high percentage of the time, but also, and this is what makes Twin such a great deck, is you're playing a huge guessing game against them.
What do they have? When do they have it?
Yeah, the entire time of do they have it or not? Can I afford to tap out now? Also, how many pieces do they have? Also, did they leave all their pieces in? And
Right.
That's what makes Twin such a phenomenal deck, and why if someone's really good at it, it's so hard to beat them. You see the success that Todd Anderson's had with Teamer Twin and Tasker Twin, just because he knows that deck inside and out and when to have the combo in his deck, when not to, when to pull the trigger. With Tron, your deck is so linear and straightforward, you're almost forced to sideboard a certain way, which is to beat the combo. And if they're just okay, I have Keranos, it's all right, I can't win. So it's not great in a Twin infested metagame, and there's a lot of Twin right now.
I will say I think Rending Volley may help. The new hate card from Dragons, dealing 4 damage for 1 red mana that's uncounterable is what that deck's looking for sometimes. But I don't know how negligible that really is.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. I used to play Combust in the sideboard. And it was against Twin and Restoration Angel and Celestial Colonnade, so it being a little bit cheaper is kind of nice because you only have to leave 1 mana instead of 2.
Right.
You can do it with a Tron piece and a Chromatic Sphere Star and make it a little bit easier to cast. So I could certainly see an easy shift there. The only difference is that it won't be able to kill a Siege Rhino, which may matter. But I don't know if you'd bring in Combust against a Siege Rhino deck anyway, unless they have the Reliquary. So
Right.
There are some decisions. There are some decisions to be made there.
Well, sorry for the bad news then. The verdict is mediocre. I think we're going to transition here to another segment here, but I do want to mention we did have a request for more Pacific Northwest opens, your neck of the woods specifically. We had some requests for if you could just put in a good word for that. Some of our listeners would be very happy.
I'm sure they'd be okay with you too, Cedric, because you don't have to travel that far.
I wouldn't hate it. Also, I play in the ones that are in Seattle. I don't work those ones very often, so I wouldn't be displeased with that. It's always a touchy subject. First of all, I have no influence on how that works. That's the area of OP. Because if it were up to me, they'd all be in Seattle and Ohio. So
We're okay with
that'd be
this.
unreal.
yeah, so you guys would be happy. I would be happy. But the thing that I don't think a lot of people understand is there's so much planning that goes into these things as far as where you can have them, and when you can have them. You have to get in touch with the convention center that fits your budget, see if they have space available, the necessary space to hold a Magic tournament, see how much it's going to cost, see if they have it with the date you want to have it, and then there's also once you take into account all the logistics and the money and all of that stuff making sense, once you have all that down, then it's people are you don't come to the Pacific Northwest enough, and you don't come to Florida enough. It's well, the attendance sucks when we go there.
Yeah.
So it's not we don't want to come. It's if we come, then you got to come. And if you come, then we'll come back. So, the Dallas shows where we go, everyone's why you guys go to Dallas so much? Well, Dallas has 800 people that come to the shows. That's why we go to Dallas so much. And, I get sick every time I go to Dallas because it just doesn't really work with my sinus and my allergies, but it's hey, this is good for us to go to because so many people come to the tournaments. I would love to be able to go to Phoenix, but if you think about Phoenix, it's who can go to a Phoenix tournament? Los Angeles is pretty far away, as is basically every other place. The Open Series has never gone to Phoenix. I want to go to Phoenix. I want to go to New Orleans, but if you think about logistically where those are and who can come to those tournaments, it's a very small amount of people. So again, the same thing kind of happens with the Florida ones too. It's okay, we're going to come to Orlando. Orlando has a ton of convention space. The Florida community has a pretty healthy Magic base, but at the same time, you don't really get to draw from anywhere. The best you can do is, I don't know, Atlanta.
Right.
and that's a healthy drive for those players in the first place. It's not like we're not going to be drawing from Boston and the Northeast or the Midwest from those states. Maybe there's a few lunatics out there like me who would maybe make that drive, but it's just not going to happen. It's not like we don't want to go to these places, but when you're running a business, which I don't think a lot of people look at, logistically you have to do things that make sense. And sometimes it's correct to make those decisions, and sometimes it's not. And the more we've done this, and the more we've figured out the best places to go, it just makes more sense to go the places we've been going.
Yeah, it's sort of, I guess, like, I didn't think about it before. It's sort of like, we're sort of lucky up here because we always end up, we have Indy and we have Cincy and Columbus, and now you guys have come to Cleveland a bunch, so it's pretty nice. But it's sort of a catch-22 for those areas that, like, you have to test them at some point, but you can't take a huge loss on it. And I feel bad for those players, but hopefully the game just continues to grow anyways, and eventually it'll be a moot point. You can go anywhere and, get the players.
I mean, that would obviously be ideal. Another thing, really quickly, that people don't really take into kind of the financials and logistics of it too, is that we have to transport all the equipment up there too.
Yeah, I
guess.
I can't imagine that being easy.
We don't fly that stuff. We drive that stuff.
Yeah.
So that means when we have a tournament in Seattle, someone drives that from Roanoke, Virginia, to Seattle.
Oh wow! I hope that man is paid well.
Yeah, well, I don't know how much they're paid, but it's not easy to do. So there is a lot, obviously, that goes into the planning of this stuff. And again, I don't even know the inner workings. Again, that's our organized play department. Jared Silva's the lead of that, and he's got a lot of great people that work with him, like Callie Anderson. And they're the ones that put all this stuff together and about where we can go, when we can go, and how we can do it. We obviously want to make everyone happy. Our goal isn't to piss anyone off. And some people just take it so personally. They're just like, coming to Orlando, what do you guys hate us? Blah, blah, blah. Like,
what do you got against Florida?
Yeah, it's like Florida sucks. We do want to go.
Daggers.
Florida. We do want to go, but sometimes we can't do everything. We can't make everyone happy all the time.
That makes a lot of sense. So.
Yeah, I'm used to not making people happy, so I'm there with you. I'm there with you, Cedric. It's all right.
All right, so I think we're going to transition to do, and I'm going to lay this on you here. We didn't prep you before this, Cedric. We're gonna try out this thing with you.
All right.
But I know you're a big sports guy, and we have a segment we do every now and then. We sort of modeled off of sort of like Around the Horn.
Okay.
Okay. We call it Going to Turns. And what we're going to do is we have a list of 5 questions because 5 turns, and then Morgan has agreed to be the moderator this time. So he's going to read the question. You're going to get 30 seconds to answer. Then I'm going to get 30 seconds to answer. And he's going to declare a winner. So you and I are going to go head-to-head and try to argue the best argument with these questions. Now, Morgan has promised to remain impartial.
Correct.
And he's probably starstruck anyways. So
that's true. Literally have no idea what I'm doing right now, but that's fine. Oh, just so the listeners know, we did lose a Dave. He had to go home, unfortunately. But it's fine. We'll still carry the podcast. We started it anyway, so whatever.
He's going to be sad he missed out on the back and forth here. But we know you're a little bit competitive, so we wanted to pique your interest here a little bit.
Let's do this.
All right.
First question: what standard deck has a chance to break out at the Invitational? Mike, you go.
All right. I guess you're just testing standard a lot, and obviously we're going to play in this. Any deck that I think is going to break out is probably going to be red-based. We've discussed on this show how a lot of the red cards are very, very powerful. If you want to go Sly and go with Zergo, or if you want to go a little bit bigger and start playing Dragons, Draconic Roar, and Thunderbreak Regent are both very, very good.
It's time. All right, Cedric, same question.
I'm going to go with Big Red, potentially with a splash, maybe not. I think that you have the tools to be able to control the early game, and once you get in the later game, you have better draws than your opponents, thanks to all these dragons. Probably have to splash. Temples fix things, and along with Outpost Siege, to make sure that you're always drawing good cards. Always been a problem with big red decks.
All right, time. I'm going to say that Cedric wins because I absolutely think he's right. And in all honesty, I think the people we're testing with.
That's the deck we've been testing is actually unreal. All right, I feel better about my deck choice. Thank you. I can see that point. That was great.
I don't know what a big red deck should look like, but it feels like there's a big red deck that is there right now.
We agree.
Let's leave it at that.
Fair enough.
All right, Cedric, you're going to start with this question. What card from Dragons of Tarkir is the most standard impacting? Go.
Zergo Bellstriker, I think. because it just puts mono red back on the map. But at the same time, mono red's kind of easy to beat if you want to beat it. I think, but I think it's like that because it makes mono red legitimate now. That's my answer.
All right, that's time. Mike.
I guess I'm going to go with the other card that I mentioned the last one. I'm going to go with Thunderbreak Regent. I think this is a very, very good body, and there's so many decks that can use this card. Either Jeskai or Red White or Big Red or Red Green. Curves the Storm Red Dragon, and to make sure all these decks playing a ton of Heroes Downfalls cannot just out removal you. They're going to take bolts for it.
I'm gonna go with Mike on that one. I'm a big fan of the Regent that breaks Thunder. So I want to play that card. I want to go Thunderbreak Regent into Stormbreath Dragon. That's my curve.
It's the dream.
It is the dream.
No, that's completely legit. There are so many good cards in this set.
There really are.
I know. Well, that kind of leads into our next question.
Oh, no.
Mike, what's the most underrated card in Dragons of Tarkir?
Ugh, man. No, I'm gonna sit here and worry here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna pick a card that I don't know if it's fully been underrated, but I'm gonna say Narset. I've seen a lot of people either say it's the next Jace or that it's entirely terrible and unplayable. I think that Jeskai tokens being as powerful as it is, and a number of the blue-based control decks, that Narset's going to be in a deck is going to be incredible in a deck.
All right, Cedric.
I'm ready. My answer is Kolagahan's. That's not how you say his name. Command. Black Red Command.
Sure.
That card is the least talked about command, and I actually think it's the best one straight up. Assuming that there's a red black deck or like heavy black splash red, all the modes of that card matter. Maybe destroy target artifact doesn't.
I like your answer, Cedric, mainly for the sheer fact that wasn't even standard restricted. So Kolaghan's Command actually, I've seen people talk about it being played in like modern Jund or something like that, just as being a versatile answer to a bunch of things, and I want to try that out. So Cedric, good answer. I appreciate it. All right,
that card is good.
I when I first saw it, I doubted it. I wasn't quite sure. It felt like all the effects were 1 mana effects for 3, but instant speed discard is never bad, and it always feels like you do have an option with that card. So I appreciate it for that. Dromoka's Command might actually have gotten a little bit overblown when it was released. So
The card's really good too, though.
it is. It's not a bad card, but I think Kolaghan's Command doesn't get quite the credit that it's due. All right, Cedric. This one's yours. It's a good one. LeBron or Jordan?
I can put my biases aside. Michael Jordan. It's not even really particularly close. I love LeBron in death, obviously. He's a real-life idol of mine, but Michael Jordan's the best basketball player that's ever played.
All right, that's succinct enough. We'll go
Yeah.
ahead. We'll stop the timer. And Mike.
Oh man, I don't know how I can win this game if I agree with you, but I gotta have to. And you talk about putting things aside, like Cedric and I both have bad memories of Jordan sinking shots and tears as a child, but I would have to agree. Jordan is just the legacy, the way he played the game changed the game. Just I like LeBron, but it's got to be Jordan.
All right, that's tough. I can't disagree with you. I mean, Space Jam, right? How can you dispute the power?
I really can't.
You can't. But I do have to declare a winner.
Oh, that was only 4 questions, sir.
No, for that question.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
I haven't said who won.
Oh, sure.
All right, maybe I'll tie. We'll call that a wash.
So he would still be ahead by 1. If you just get a point there.
Yeah.
All right.
So we still have one more question.
All right.
Mike, you start off with this. What's the next invitational token that needs to be made? Go.
Oh man, I think the next invitational token that definitely needs to be made is the Jin Monk that is in the new Dragons of Tarkir. That card, it's on a couple of the different Skyways teachings and a couple other cards, but the art on it's already insane with the guy like hovering and floating, and I think just like anybody could just become like an awesome genie. Just like that's it. I'm gonna be a genie. That's me. That'd be a sweet token.
Now I just have Aladdin song stuck in my head. Thank you.
The Jin token would create a whole new world. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
I mean, I ain't never had a friend like that, so. All right, Cedric, you're up.
So I've been pushing for a Master of Waves token or a Monk token recently, but I actually have an interesting answer here. I'm going to go with a Manifest token because I would like to see what the artist could do about making a person into like a Manifest token that people have to use for that stupid enchantment.
Man, I know what I'm beat. That's actually unreal.
Jeez, yeah. Cedric, you're gonna have to take the segment. You won. I was hoping that what we would do is we would play into a tie, and then we'd have to go to our tiebreaker, which is make a random card from Gatherer constructed playable. You get to pick the format, but you have to make its case.
Would you like to still play the tiebreaker? Cedric?
Yeah, let's play the tiebreaker.
Oh.
All right. I mean, I concede. I now want to see the Manifest token. You have now ruined genies for me. I think a while ago I wanted the Phyrexian Processor token. Like you get like the Phyrexian Horror. I thought that would be kind of cool, but I don't know if that's really relevant to Magic today.
Yeah, unfortunately not. All right. We're going to pull up the random card here. And oh, man, this is my favorite part. The suspense.
Apparently we've got a good one here. All right, so who gets to go first, Morty?
We'll go with Mike.
All right.
This is the card that you have to make constructed playable.
All right.
Roots. 3 and a green. Enchantment Aura. Enchant creature without flying. When Roots enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature does untap during its controller's untap step. Let me get the timer ready. Go.
All right, so Roots has a place in Modern. There is a mono-green devotion deck that is just hungry for removal from some of the terrifying creatures in the format. So you've got to find a way to tap them down. You got to fit them in there. Mana cost isn't an issue. You can play this on turn 2, turn 3 still anyways. So I think Roots is a strong contender for the 89th playable in Modern Devotion.
All right, Cedric, you're up.
I do the same card?
Yeah.
Okay, so Roots. Don't start the timer. Roots MTG. I'm Googling it really quickly. I need to read the text.
All right.
From Homelands?
Yeah. Now, this obviously can be played in any format. That's the stipulation. So even if it's not modern legal or something like that.
All right. Enchantment Aura. Enchant creature without flying. When Roots enters the battlefield, tap enchant creature. Ah, dude, this thing's insane. You kidding me? This beats a Siege Rhino. All right, you start the timer, but it beats Siege Rhino. Enchant creature without flying. There's a battlefield tap enchant creature. How do we search enchantments? That's the question. Tallow-Wisp, probably a little slow.
I can't help you. I'm sorry.
Waste his time.
Yeah, don't even need help. Just why even search it up? Just a 4 of it. It beats Siege Rhino.
All right, Cedric, you got me. It beats Siege Rhino.
Oh man, Roots, the hot tech.
By the way, the Heliod's Pilgrim. That's how you can find this card.
That's it. I should know that.
Oh, I want to see this happen so bad now on camera. I want to see you commentating on the Pilgrim that searches up Roots.
Yeah, gotta do it.
Yeah, it looks like for sure he's gonna play Heliod's Pilgrim and get the Roots here. Preemptively take care of the Siege Rhino.
I would just hope that Questlove would come out and start playing. In my opinion,
I would be okay with that.
Yeah. All right. We'll go ahead and we'll let you go. We do want to, of course, give you some time to plug what you want to plug as far as the invitational goes and everything like that. So you speak to the people today.
Me plug stuff? I
Yeah,
don't really have a lot to plug besides my podcast, Ced Talks, which you can find on SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, the podcast app, and Star City Games. Let's see, what else? You can follow me on Twitter at Cedric A. Phillips. You can follow me on Facebook as well. The Open Series, of course. Yes, thank you. The Open Series, of course. This weekend's going to be insane. This is the first time that we ever had an invitational with a brand new standard format, like as in week 1.
Don't we know
Nothing
it?
Yeah,
influencing.
we feel that.
I imagine the players this is a real headache for you guys, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah. How do we get cards? Oh wait.
You mean we have to pre-order the cards from the store that's also in Virginia, and we have to pay sales tax? Oh,
Oh.
genius.
No, I mean,
Service,
definitely, it's
service.
been fun doing this and like pre-ordering that. But this is definitely a new. You're right. It's a new headache. Like it has been. We've never encountered it, but I've enjoyed it. Like testing this week. Like no idea what's going to happen. It's just this is sweet.
Yeah, I think that's the best part, and also because it's a really big set. Like if it were a small set, I don't think the impact would be that great. I think there would be an impact, but the fact that there's like 260 cards, a lot of these cards are really good. You don't know if it's going to bring a new archetype with it. I think that even for me in the booth, like this weekend, and I have fun every time I do Invitational, but this weekend is going to be really something special because I have no idea what people are going to bring out. Like there is a Pro Tour in a couple weeks from now, so you don't know if some people are going to try to hide some tech or not, but I can't imagine that's the case because there's a lot of money on the line this
Right.
weekend, and it's not the Players Championship. So I have no clue what's going to happen. My best guess is like Brad's going to have a good deck.
Yeah.
As a fair guess.
Yeah. Yeah, like I have very simple guesses. Brad's gonna have a good deck. I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Ross is playing red or heroic this weekend, but that's what's gonna make this tournament so much fun. And I don't know if anything's gonna change for Legacy, but we also haven't seen Legacy for a little while too. So for those Legacy aficionados out there who like to complain that we never put Legacy on camera, boom, you're happy now too.
Fair enough. Yep. Yeah. We will certainly be there, of course. So if you do want to come up, say hi to us, please let us know. We'll be in our Comic Town shirts. And we always appreciate. We met some people at GP Richmond when we were over there. So hopefully we see some of our fans. We love meeting our listeners so very much. You can also follow us on Facebook as well. Not as an interesting a follow, but hey. Also, we have a Twitter. It's at your end step because you guys love it. Come on. And subscribe to us on iTunes. Also, Podcast Republic is a great way to find us on Android.
So I would say just before we go here, Cedric, I want to thank you very specifically because like you were really awesome about coming on here, and like I did well at like 2 opens and 2 consecutive weekends a year and a half ago, and you have never forgotten my name, and I've always been impressed by that because you meet so many people, and yet you are just nice to everybody, and you have a memory for everyone, and it is really impressive.
Name recognition is key. It's really, really important to me to try to remember everybody that I do see. And yes, I do meet a lot of people, and hopefully I don't forget those that I do meet. But you won the Open in Columbus the third week of season 1 last year. You beat Ketter in the finals in the red white mirror. So
wow,
I have a
wow.
I do have like a psycho is not the right word, but I'm using it. I have like a psycho memory for people and things that they've done. And opens and just kind of in general. So yeah, I do remember that. Don't worry, I do. You and your big Boros deck got it done.
Well, I appreciate that, and I guess I'll flip it on you for a minute here because we're going to see him this weekend too. I hope you're being welcoming to Ken Crocker.
Oh yes, I will be. I've actually never met him. So okay, I don't think I've ever met him before. It's possible that I have, but I haven't had like an interaction with him that is like, oh, you're Ken Crocker.
Right.
So
he's top 8 some stuff, so you don't know his name for that.
No. I guess I don't.
No, he's a real nice guy, but we know him from being local here, and then before he moved out of this area for a little bit. But we were all pretty excited to see his name pop up as like one of the guys going for you. So he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Look out for him.
I expect nothing less, and this will be his first show this weekend in Richmond. So he'll have to get his sea legs pretty quickly, but he'll be learning from the very best in the business, and Nick Miller. So I am not worried about that one bit.
He'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll just razz him a bunch while we're there.
Oh, I expect nothing less.
Of course. I mean, yeah. All right. Well, that'll we'll put this episode of At Your Instep at a close. We do appreciate everyone who listens, and we'll catch you next time. Have a good one. Bye.